Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial we're trying to see how to do natural language processing with Spark NLU. So Spark NLU is a very nice library that consists of about maybe thousands of state-of-the-art SOTA NLP models, which allows you to be able to do some powerful NLP tasks such as text classification, sentiment analysis, summarization, question and answering, all of these things with a very simple code, right? Perfect. It is totally different from Spark NLP. So Spark NLP, right, and then Spark NLU are different packages produced by the same company, John Snow Labs and then Apache Spark. So with Spark NLU you can do a lot of things in a very simple way, and with Spark NLP is the full library for doing everything. So let's see how to work with it. So I'll just come back again. So in case you want to install it on your system, you'll be trying to see how to install it on your system for Colab and then locally. So to install it on your system locally, just go with pip install NLU, then pyspark, right, because it is built on top of pyspark. And then in case you also want to work with it inside Colab, can just go with this particular URL, right, and then you just install it. So we'll be trying this method, or you can do everything by scratch. So what is on this particular code is this thing here, right? So import OS, you're going to install Java because Spark is built on top. Spark depends on Java, right, and Scala and all of these things. So that this is another code. This is another way you can also install it in case you're working inside Colab. But this is simple. You just go with this option and then install it. So let's install it on our system. So I'm just going to install it here. So we are using Colab. So wget, then I'm going to go to John Snow Labs and then install it perfectly. So the difference between Spark NLP and then Spark NLU is that Spark NLU is a very simple package, right? It's very simple, just one line. It allows you just use this simple one-liner to be able to do a lot of things. So for example, if I come back to this particular code, right, so this is how Spark NLU is. Just one liner. You just import NLU, then you just load that particular pre-trained model, then you apply your function to it. So this is a simple thing you need to know. You don't need to know a lot of things, just this simple line. And it's for Spark NLU. But for Spark NLP you need to do a lot of things. But for Spark NLU, all you need is just particular line of code. So the first thing is that you're just going to load your model, right? So it has several pre-trained model, which you can get it on the Spark models hub. I'll show you that later. And also have the function. So the function can be to predict. Let me make it bigger so they can see. The function can be to predict something, right, or to fit in case you want to use a pre-trained model to train for your data. You can also virtualize. You can also virtualize with Streamlit. Very nice. And then you can also apply, after applying this particular, you apply to any data. It can be strings, can be an array of strings, it can be pandas data frame, it can be Spark data frame. Very nice. So a simple example is that in case I want to do sentiment analysis, I'm going to load a pre-trained model called sentiment, then I'm going to specify the function or the activity I want to do and apply it on my data. So let's see how to use this particular library in Colab. So I'll come back again. My workspace has finished installing on our system. Very nice. And now let's see some of the common tasks you can do. So you can use Spark NLU to be able to do text classification, so sentiment analysis, emotion in text, fake news, and then the rest, right? You can also use the same thing to do NER, name entity recognition, keyword extraction using unsupervised EX algorithm. You can do stemming, part of speech tagging, translation, summarization, question and answering. So let's see an example. So first of all, we're trying to work with sentiment analysis, right? Which is very common use. So the first thing is that anytime you load it, it fetches and downloads the pre-trained model. Then the next time it's going to use our pre-trained model. So you need a lot of space. So these are tests. So John loves coding all the time since he came to London in April, right? So let's add something. Yeah, something like this. And then this is also another sentence that you'll be trying to work with. So we have two different sentences, and then we want to be able to do sentiment analysis for them. So let's check for the first one. So sentiment analysis. So the first, as we saw earlier on, to work with it, just go with this option, NLU.load, right? Then you predict the model you want to use, the pre-trained model or the task you want to do, the function, and then your data, right? So in our case, the function is going to be predict, and then you see the rest. So I'll come back again, and let's import the package. So I'm going to import the package. It's going to be import NLU, right? That is all that you need. Let's see the various methods of this particular package. So the methods, and then the attributes of this package is going to be, as we always do, DRL NLU. So we can see what are the things we can do with it. So this package comes with a lot of cool stuff. You can, as you can see, you can print all the languages that it supports. You can print all the models and the actions. You can print all the components and then the rest. So let's see all the languages it supports, right? It's a very powerful library. So just go with this. So I want to get all the languages, the supported languages now. So this is for the models, right? So languages, it's going to be my NLU.print languages, right? So we have print all languages. Then I run this particular function. Then you're going to see all the languages that it supports. That's supporting almost all of these languages, right? Which is very cool. And this is a shortcut for the language. Perfect. You can also check for the various components of this particular library. To get the components, what are the things we have inside this library? It's going to be NLU.print all components or print components, right? So print components, and if I run it, I'm going to see all the components that we have. So you can do some of these ones, and you can see how it has been done, right? So we have translation, can use to do translation, right? Translate using the Marian data, right? Marian model from Microsoft. You can use to translate to a different language, right? Very nice. So maybe Dutch, using Marian to translate to C. I don't know what C is. Something like that, right? Let's say from French, you translate from French to Norwegian. That is one of the things you can also do. If I go back again, there are lots of things you can do with it. So this is just for the translation. If I go up, you can see that we can do a lot of things with this powerful library, right? I think that is the future of NLP, and this transfer learning pre-trained model being used to do a lot of things, right? So if I come back here, you see that we can even classify stuff. You can classify cyberbullying, emotion, intent, sarcasm. You can classify the T50 questions, right, from Google, right? Spam, toxicity, classify fake news. You can do embedding. You can just check for sarcasm. All of these things, yeah, right? Very cool. So let's see some of them. So I just go back again. So these things are the pre-trained model, right? And you can see that it has given us the model. So deep learning model, DL, classifier DL, use spam, right? Very cool and very nice. Okay, so let's go back again and see. You can see that it's even having all the famous pre-trained model like BET. We have BET here, right? Very nice. So let's see an example. So we'll be trying to see the first task. We want to see how to use it for sentiment analysis, right? So sentiment analysis. How do we use it for sentiment analysis? So we already have our, so in case I want to do something, it's going to be NLU.load. I'm going to load the model, which is going to be sentiment, right? Sentiment.predict. I pass in my data, right? It's going to, that's already preload the model, right? So it's not going to show anything. If you run it the first time, if the model is not available, it will load it. Take some time for it to run. So the syntax is the Spark NLU.load the pre-trained model or whatever task you want to do, then your function, right? So predict. Then you pass in your data. So let's go back again. That is loading the model. This is using Glove IMDb sentiment analysis model. So you need a lot of space, right? Perfect. That's finished, right? And as you can see, that was able to give us our sentiment and then the sentiment component. Very cool. I can also move from here, right? So that is not the only type of sentiment. You can also do a lot of sentiment analysis. As we saw here, there are a lot of sentiment. This is the one we used, right? You can also do another one for, let's say, the toxicity, sentiment, and the rest, right? So it depends upon you. So let's move on from sentiment and let's work on emotion in test, right? So how do you do emotion in test to get the emotion inside this particular test? It's going to be emotion in test, right? It's going to be NLU dot. Hope everybody can see it, but I hope it's not that small. My apologies for it being small. Yeah, okay. NLU dot load. Then I'll pass in what I want to do. So I'm going to pass in my emotion in test. So emotion, then dot predict, and I'll pass in my data, right? My document. So it's going to classify, use a particular model. It's going to give us the emotion in test for this particular sentence. Wow, that's a lot. That is too big just to do one little stuff. This is very fine-tuned, so it is very useful and it's very powerful. Perfect. So that's finished, and as you could see, it was able to give us the emotion in that particular test, right? This is a sentence, and this is the emotion, joy, right? And this is a confidence. Very cool. You can also use this one to move on from here. Let's try some other ones. So let's try another thing. So we have seen how to use it to do sentiment analysis. So we have seen how we can use this one to do sentiment analysis, right? So you can also move from here, and let's see how to use the same thing to do a very nice and important activity like named entity recognition. So in case I want to do NEL, right, I can just go back with the same thing. So NLU dot load as a, and then you present our model, right? NEL dot predict. I'm going to pass in my data, right? So I pass in my data, is going to predict the entities within them. It's going to download the pre-trained model. As you can see, it's going to tell us the entities within our test. Voila, you can see that it was very fast. It was able to tell us that, okay, John is a person, London is a place, geopolitical environment, April 20 is a date. Very cool, with the confidence, which is very nice. So you can use it to do named entity recognition. You can also use it to do part of speech tagging. So let's see how to do that. So in case I want to do part of speech tagging for this same test, it's going to be the same thing. So NLU dot load, I pass in the model dot predict, I pass in my data. It could take some time for it to run perfectly for us. So that is very cool. It makes your work easy. Just one line of code, and it's having a simple similar API, right? You load your model and then your particular function, right? That's finished. So that's just able to give us the sentiment within them. They're not the sentiment, but the part of speech for all of them. So let's come back again and see another thing we can also do. So we can also do visualization. So we have been seeing the function dot predict. Let's see how to do visualization for our named entity above. So this is going to be for, I'm going to visualize the data, right? I'm going to visualize the NEL in data, right? So that's another thing you can also do with this package. So not just predicting, but you can also do named entity recognition. So let's try that one out. Visualization. So it's going to be NLU visualize NEL. It's going to be NLU.load, passing the named entity recognition model dot this, right? And I'll pass in my data. I pass in the data, which in this case, let's go with the data like the docs as we have. It's going to plot it out for us. It may look some weird because I'm using that team, but it's going to come perfectly well. The same data that we had here, right, with person, GP, and date is what is going to show here, right? As you can see, so that you can see that has been able to give us that nice color, right? Very cool and very nice. That is something cool with this particular package. So you know, just predicting, but you can also visualize some of them, not all of them, but some models that require visualization. So let's move on from here and let's do some simple stuff like, in case I want to do stemming, right? So in case I want to do stemming, I can just go back again to NLU.load and pass in my stem. That's what I want to do. Then predict. Then I'll pass in my data. So if I pass in the data, it's also going to give me the stem for each and every one of the particular data, right? Not lemmatization, but the stem for it, as you could see here. Very nice. Okay, so let's move on from stemming to some other stuff you can also do. So in case you also want to do keyword extraction, so let's say we have this our data here, right? This particular data. I don't know whether I loaded it well. It's supposed to be sentence, not data. Yep, sentence 1. I want to be able to extract all the keywords from this particular sentence, right? So how do I do that? So we can just use this option here. So this is going to be keyword extraction. Keyword extraction is using an unsupervised method using Yake. So Yake is unsupervised algorithm. So unsupervised is different from Rick, right? Rick is supervised. not super, but like it's mostly, yeah, it's different. It's different from Rick, right? Yik is different. So let's go back with the same thing. It's going to be my NLU dot load. I'll pass in the model Yik dot predict. I'll pass in the sentence. So this is going to take some time. Sentence 1. It's going to analyze it very fast because this is unsupervised algorithm. I'm going to extract all the various keywords there, and as you could see, it was able to extract the keywords, the document, the keyword, and then the keyword confidence. Very cool, right? Okay, so that's not the only thing you can do. So there is a very nice feature which allows you to be able to do some cool stuff. So what we're doing, that you have been doing like this, right? You can actually store this one into a variable and get the information of it. So let me show you an example. So let me show you an example. So this is going to be another method. So this is going to be method 2, and another method you can also do this. So let's say I want to do something like test classification, right? So this is going to be another method, and this is for test classification, right? There are a lot of test classifier. I can just go back again and do something like, let's say my CLF or something like that, and I'll just go with NLU.load and pass in the model. So let's call this one as my spam, right? So by passing this one, it's going to load the model, the spam classifier, as you can see, in this particular variable. And in case I want to get more information about it, I can just come back again to get information. I can just go back again and just give it clf.myClassifier.print info, right? So that we have print info here. So I can go with print info, and I can get a lot of information about this particular mode that we have, right? So the pipe, and then the various things you can do with it, right? All of these various things there, right? So that is another way. And then from there, I can also make some predictions. In case I want to make a prediction, it's going to be my clf.predict. Now pass in the particular data that I want. So let's pass in my docs, which in this case it was not this is fast. So there's another way you can do that. So you can actually store inside a variable so that it saves you time, right? Very nice. This is a ham, it's not a spam. Very cool. So that is some of the ways you can also do. There are also some powerful test classification packages you can also do. But before we move on to the test classification, let's check translation, right? So in case I also want to do translation, I can also use this particular package. So it's going to be the same thing. Let's call it as my translator, right? Then NLU.load. Then this is how it goes. For the translation, it's just going to go with the particular language you want to translate. So the particular language you are translating from. So English, right? I want to use a Marian dataset. So model translate let's say I want to translate to French, right? So that is how to do that. So this is how to work with it. So this is going to hopefully it doesn't make mistakes here. Yep, the reason it failed was that this was not a dot, it's a dash, right? So English, that is the language I'm translating from, translate to French, right? So that is a basic understanding. Then I'll just move on with my translator. It's going to download a pre-trained model, English to French model. So there's a lot of languages, not just English, but to several languages. And it makes it easy, right? So just switch the languages. It appears that it's failing, right? But don't worry. So that is how to do that. So before we move on to the translation, since it's trying to fail because it's giving us an error of the fitting size, let's try how to also, not just translation, but how do you detect the language, right? So there are a lot of things you can do with it. So I'll be showing you a place you can get all the pre-trained model. So sometimes the error may be because of how you are specifying the model. So let's see how to detect language, right? So I'm just going to go back again to the same thing. Then it's going to be NLU.load. I'll pass in the model. I want to classify a particular language .predict. And I'll pass in docs. So this is already in English, so it's going to automatically detect the language, right? Very cool. So you can use it to do some translation. You can also use it to do detection of languages. You can say that this was English. Of course it's English, everybody knows, right? Very nice. So there are a lot of things you can do with this wonderful package. So there are a lot of things. There's also another one you can also do with the T5 for question and answering. So let's Let me show you the last one for question and answering. So question, also do question classification, classifier, right, which is going to be the same thing. So NLU dot load, now passing whatever I want to do. So en dot classify dot, so with the dot classify you can do sentiment, you can do question, you can do spam and the rest, right? Then I'll just go with dot predict the particular question. So let's see, what is the company's name? The company's name, something like this, right? If I go with this option, so it's going to classify this particular question for us using the T-Reg 50. So maybe another time we will work more on the T-Reg 50. Perfect. It's able to tell us that this is an entity order, right? Very cool, very nice. The type of question, perfect. You can also use to do question and answering, right? Which is, in that case, it's going to be this option here. So it's going to be my NLU dot load, and I'm going to pass in that I want to answer a particular question, right? Then I'm going to specify that, okay, I want you to predict the particular question. So this is going to be my question. The order is going to be like this. You're going to have your question that you want to talk about, so whatever your question is, so you say your question, and then your context. It is very important that you bring this context. Then you put in your context as follows, right? So that is how to work with question and answering. So another time you go deeper into this. And one more thing before we leave, you can also use the same thing. This is for the question and answering, to be able to detect the type of question, and you can also use it to check for some other stuff. You can also use it to do spell checking, as you can see from here. So load spell, then you pass in your test your data, right? So you're going to give us the result. So I like, if you could predict it spell, reading, new books, right? Very cool. So thank you for watching the tutorial, and see you in the next session. Stay blessed.